You sure you want to talk to me?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Feeling better. Just confirm that
Can you dig it? Hello and welcome to PEEP Live episode number 7. My name is James Watling and we are here live, coming to you live from the centre of Newcastle in our exclusive studio. It's welcome back. Pleasure to be here. I hope you've all tuned in for your special edition number 7. Here we are. What is the date today? It's March the 9th, I believe, and it is March the 9th. Yeah, and it's just after we started a little bit late. We're planning for a 6:30 show. This is what we call like the PEEP, almost, we don't call it, but unofficially call it a PEEP mini, where we're just going to come on. We don't have any guests on tonight, but we're going to have our usual topics. We're going to talk a little bit about combat. We have a new section on this show tonight, which we're quite excited to talk to you about. We have our usual PEEP Access as well, so we're going to talk a little bit about, I think we've got actually talk about graphic novels tonight, which would be an interesting subject. Films, of course, as well. We have our usual slot with Ridley Scott. That's yay, Ridley. So we're going to actually get a graphic up for that if we can, Cliff. Our usual slot with Ridley Scott. That's what we're going to call it. So, as I said before, my name's James Watling, part of Team Alpha. We have a new facility now in Alnwick, sunny Alnwick, or snowy Alnwick, for those of you last week who remember the heavy weather that we had. I hope you got out and sledged a little bit. I know I did. In Alnwick, there's Elite Super Gym. You can go onto Facebook and type in Alnwick Elite Super Gym. I have the Team Alpha base there now. We're launching striking classes, some mixed martial arts classes. You're welcome to come along, check that out. We'll be doing a piece on that actually very soon as well. People will be leaving the studio, are actually allowed of day release. Myself and Mr. Cliff Sainsbury, the owner, director, and my co-conspirator here at PEEP. We're going to do a little bit of filming, a little bit of a workout in the gym. We're going to maybe perhaps get onto the beach as the weather improves, do a little bit of outdoor stuff, and film The Mighty begins with barter and ends, there you go, barter books. We're going to do a taste test challenge on the new cookies. So let's get into the meat and bones of the show tonight. The aim of tonight, actually, I'm going to do two things before we start. Number one is give you a heads up on future guests. I'm actually going to be bringing in Team Alpha into the studio with Matt Stark, and shout out to Matthew there. There's a little bit of sparring we had there just before as we prep. Matthew Stanners as well, one of the other guys, and Christoph Pomansky, my main 3 guys in belts, and Kevin Hallwood, our boxing coach. They're going to be coming into the studio. We're going to find room for all 4 of them. They're going to talk a little bit about training and obviously how they got into the whole Team Alpha set, and also a little bit about themselves and obviously their businesses and what they aspire to. So it'd be quite nice having a full studio. So the aim of tonight is to get to 2,000 subscribers. 2,000 subscribers. I watched this. Have you ever seen the YouTube channel? It's called Unbox Therapy. I only found it the other week, 10 million subscribers. The guy's great, and basically what he does, he gets sent things and he unboxes them and talks about them. But it's a really good show, just small little 6-7 minute clips. And he's got 10 million, so I'm sure we can get to 2,000. The next step after that is 20,000, 200,000, and then 2 million. And then myself and Cliff get to live it up on a Caribbean island somewhere as the checks roll in from YouTube. So let's get into it. You can follow us on Twitter at Peep Magazine. You can follow us on Instagram, Peep Limited. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is, guess what, Peep. You can subscribe to myself at Watling Hot on Twitter, Team Alpha 1424. I've not been on social media for quite a while. I tend to come off when I've got things going on, but I will be back on there. And you can also reach me on Facebook at James Watling and follow some of the stuff I'm doing, but not at the minute because nothing's going on there. And as I say, join me over at Anik at the Super Gym. You want to come and train some stand-up, then that's the place to be. Q Team Alpha logo, there it comes. Okay, now, exciting times. We have a new segment on Peep, and it's called Syntax. But let me give you the spelling. Do we have a graphic for it yet, Cliff?
Yeah, we've got a graphic.
The graphic is thrown up right now. It is SINTAX, syntax. And syntax is basically a little bit of a departure from the norm, where we're going to expand into not just combat news. Obviously, the Peep Access, we're talking a little bit about books and film. We haven't done any streetwear. I don't think our training game, but we will. Whereas syntax allows us to expand into art, into a little bit on social sciences and regular science. What else we're going to do? We're going to visit museums. We're going to go talk to art, culture. You know, we're going to raise the bar. Raise the bar. Raise the bar. That's what we're going to do. I'm not quite with it tonight, as you've probably recognised. However, I will endeavour to give you your usual quality show. I should thank Amani for sending me in my jacket. We already have some tremendous sponsors here that are sending us things in. Left some on the way. Now this is a little. We don't want to go too much into this, but we do want to say, you know, as Peep grows, we've got some fantastic sponsors and associates, I should say, not so much sponsors, but associates, influencers that are interested in Peep, and we've actually got some gear coming in that we're going to be test driving and reporting on. So syntax. So if you want to contribute into syntax, if you think we should come along and talk to you, if you're a lecturer at university, you know, if you, whatever, perhaps you're a curator at museum, perhaps you have something to say on a social side, not on the Justice Warrior side, please. We just want to keep things legit, so to speak. But get in touch, and we'd be happy to come over and talk to you, do a bit of filming. One of the pieces we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of filming over at Tyne Side Cinema. That is definitely going to happen. We're going to talk a little bit about the evolution of film, particularly in the northeast. We'll probably go and do a bit of filming there. Not illegally, of course, to then pirate it and sell it, although that could get us a bigger studio, but we'll probably stay off that kind of thing. Certainly not announce it on live streaming, that's for sure. So that's Syntax. Contact us at Syntax with a T. See what we did there? Syntax, T-A-X, tax. Yeah, let's throw up the graphic just so we can get with it. I do apologise on the last show. I don't think I was quite myself on the last show either. But don't worry about it. We have peaks and troughs. I'm just like the stock market, but I'm on a peak right now. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Is that a little bit more? Yeah. We're good there. Okay. Good. Right. Let's get on to one of our regular sections, and the section is just the name of the gentleman, Ridley Scott. He has recently been honoured with a BAFTA fellowship. Sorry, let's do that again. Mr. Ridley Scott. Yeah. Yes. One of our influencers here, who Cliff had come in contact with in film school at university, and he follows the show. Yeah, he does well. Getting him on the show being a possibility, but he does contribute now and again with comments, etc., phone-ins. But he has been honoured with a BAFTA fellowship, which is an incredible honour for him, and rightly deserved. I mean, you think about how long Ridley Scott's been making films. I mean, you know, I'm saying arguably, but I think the work he's known best for, Ridley Scott, I'd say would be Alien. Correct me if I'm wrong. Alien, Blade Runner. Yeah. Do you know, for me, Gladiator, and not many people think that he directed Gladiator, Black Hawk Down, some incredible films. But I think Alien and I would say Blade Runner is top two. I mean, what else would you say, Cliff? For I mean, obviously he's directed.
Another one that we keep forgetting about.
There for me is top two films now. Yeah, so the BAFTA winners. Other BAFTA winners include Alfred Hitchcock, I'll sort that out. Steven Spielberg, Stanley Kubrick, Martin Scorsese. American Gangster. Yeah. Sean Connery and Elizabeth Taylor. So I mean, you just say those names, some tremendous directors, actors, and actresses there, and Ridley Scott joined their ranks as he's been honoured with a BAFTA fellowship, and as I say, rightly so. Looking forward to his next film. So, in fact, if you want to contribute anytime, you can contribute through Twitter. We have a live Twitter stream being thrown up there. You can comment on YouTube, but if you'd like to go over to Twitter, if you have a Twitter account and comment on there, we'd appreciate that. And we'd like to hear what you have to say about Ridley Scott and what are your top three, in order, favourite Ridley Scott films and why. Interesting. Right then, we're going to move on to dual fights. So dual fights run by the enigmatic Mr. David Wield, one of our favourite promoter here at PEEP, or one of our favourite promoters, my favourite promoter, are looking for salespeople for their show on the 14th of April, which we'll be talking more about in upcoming episodes. The next dual show is on the 14th of April, featuring a world kickboxing title amongst various other bouts. They're looking for salespeople to promote their show for sponsors, and there's up to 30% commission on sponsorship deals that are made. So you'll basically receive up to 30% commission on any sponsorship deals that you make. So if you were to go out and make a cash money sponsorship deal for a nice 10 grander, you'd be up for what's that, 3 grand you'd be looking at? Up to those. It's like when you go, do you go to do you ever do this, Cliff, and viewers at home? When you see like a sale sign up there, not a for sale, but you go to a retail shop and a sale 50% off, right? And you go in and you pick up, say, I don't know, just whatever. You pick up a jacket and you go take it to the counter and it's like 100 quid, and you think say it's 50 quid, and you think, give me 25 quid, I'm just gonna scoop this up. And you go throw it down and they're like, yeah, that's 45 quid. And you're like, I thought it was 50% off. And you read the small print, it says up to, and you're like, shit, so this is only 5% off. Damn it. They'll always get you at the last minute, but Mr. David Wield is not going to, up to 30% commission, I think, depending on the size of the deal. So it's going to be a good, depending on the size of the deal. So it's going to be a good commission base. So bear that in mind. If you want to speak to Mr. David Wield, you will find him on Facebook. If you just type in Dual Fights and message him through that. Dualfights.com. And we're just going to throw up a graphic now of his personal mobile number. If we just throw that up, please, Cliff. If you want to hound him with calls, just kidding. Right, guys, combat news, boxing, predominantly. We do tend to favour boxing. No, we don't actually. I think it's an even spread. So some of the news we're not going to throw everything up there. There's some stuff that's been done to death. But I think what's quite interesting at the moment is the Canelo Alvarez failing a drug test. So we have a little bit of information about that. That's something that's come up. So Canelo Alvarez, the great Canelo Alvarez, who's currently in training for his rematch, it was a draw, sorry, wasn't it? I think it was a draw. Yes, it was a draw, Canelo versus Triple G. Controversial draw, I should say. I mean, I only watched the first, I think, 6-7 rounds of the fight. And I had Canelo win it on points, but then Triple G starting to come ahead. But I think, if you did a poll, I think what, 70%, 80% of people had Triple G winning it. I think the majority, I know the majority was looking at Triple G to have won that, and it was a controversial decision. Not the most controversial decision, but certainly it was. So he's training for the rematch with Triple G, and he failed a drug test. I don't have the graphic of the drug test, like the statement from the... let me see, which agency was it that did the drug test? I'm getting a bit of it. Yeah, that's fine. So basically, it states, the drugs that are...
Powering off. Powering on. Yes.
Oh, we're rolling. Okay, right, we're rolling. Hey, okay. Apologies there. We had a little bit of a few technical hitches. And then we're back. So, going back to where we were. So, Mr. Emir Sabasic will be phoning back shortly. In the meantime, let's continue with a quick discussion on the Canelo Alvarez. So, yeah, so he tested positive for clenbuterol. I believe clenbuterol, I think it's mainly for fat burning. It's to be used for weight loss, I believe, and it's also a testosterone enhancement. Correct me if I'm wrong, you pharmaceutical scientists out there, but I believe that's what it's used for. So when he was asked about this, he basically said that he was unaware of, well, he hadn't taken any illegal substances. He was unaware not unaware, but uncertain and embarrassed, I think he'd said, that this had actually happened. What he suggested was apparently there'd been some contaminated meats taken into Mexico, and a few athletes had tested positive for the same thing. So that's what they're saying. I mean, the cynic would say, oh yeah, well, it's this or it's that. I took cold medicine, but you know, perhaps he is telling the truth, and he was completely unaware of the fact that he's taken anything illegally. He has, according to his advisors or his a member of his team, had said. Paraphrasing the quote, he had been tested numerous times and had been tested clean. The results were clean 10 to 15, 12 times. So he has been tested quite regularly by the governing body, the regulatory body, I should say, and he has passed all of his tests clean before. So this could perhaps be an anomaly. Now, from what we understand, there's been no word on it in regards to whether or not this would affect the fight in May. Apparently it's not. The May the 5th date still stands. I don't have any direct quotes from Triple G. You could just YouTube now, Triple G's comments on Canelo drug failure of drug tests, and see what Triple G has to say. My personal opinion is that I think Triple G will say, you know, it doesn't make any difference to him, let's go ahead. It's not like he's actually been caught with a needle in his arm. It may, in fact, be a case that because the way that the athletes are tested, you know, is quite a rigorous test, and yes, there are ways around it. But I would imagine that if he has tested clean all those times before, that it's not really something that's going to shake Triple G in any way. So the Anti-Doping Association, they both supplied urine tests, and Canelo had tested positive for some clenbuterol within his system. As I said, Canelo said he's embarrassed by the result, and he's also voluntarily submitted himself to future tests. And in fact, both athletes had agreed beforehand and stipulated that they want to be tested for drugs anyway, enhancement drugs. It's interesting. We're not going to get too much into it now in regards to which other athletes have tested. Moving on to our next bit of news, we're running a
This is a
router, right? So it's the best you can get, kind of thing.
Well, kind of. We're
back on live again.
2 seconds. Yeah.
Okay, we're back live again. So we have to just you have to just bear with us. So
there's something going on.
There's something going on. There's something going on tonight.
I think it's out of our control tonight.
And it's out of our control. But you're still with us, so we're going to continue. Right, just flying through.
Shall we try and get this call with
I think so. Yeah, we might have to edit little bit. Well, look, guys, what I'm gonna do actually is I'm just going to give you the topics we're going to look at, and hopefully we'll get through them. If we don't, then you'll have an understanding what we're going to be looking at for the next show. So we're going to talk a bit about boxing news. We're going to talk a little bit about the UFC 223. We're going to talk a little bit about Roy Jones and Anderson Silva. We're going to talk about local shows because I'm just going to promote these first. 31st of March at the MEC Arena, Middlesbrough. Mr. Gary Bellows, our last guest on last show, PEEP Live 6. The Contender Promotions, and tickets are still available at www.contenderpromotions.com. We have a dual fight show on April the 14th, an E6 suite. Dual bringing something different yet again, boxing, kickboxing, and BKBK1, bare knuckle kickboxing. That's going to be happening on the 14th. On the July the 28th, Dual Fights presents a Super Fight Series. Mr. Emir Sabasic, who we're going to get on the phone hopefully soon, Super Fight Series promoter, an absolute gentleman. He's coming to Newcastle Dome with his Super Fight Series. July the 28th, the Kings of Kings, and we have Emir on the phone tonight, hopefully, and we'll be speaking to him about his Storm Gym in Luton and some of his ex-world champions.
That's a plan, anyway.
With the Cobra. He's one of his, most well-known fighters. Interesting stuff. Blood Sharks and Shores, we're talking about that, which is a documentary with Mr. David Wield and Mickey Terrell. Michael Terrell, who's another former guest. We're going to talk about him and their new concept, their fighting concept. Also, we should say, people looking for video photographers and sound technicians and salespeople, up to 30%. Up to, Cliff. I'm gonna speak about this up to. Can we not just say it's 30%?
No, well,
It depends on what you're getting us.
It depends on the...
I know, I'm just kidding. Of course it does. So up to 30%, but obviously they'll be made quite clear to you. You won't be coming up to the till, so to speak, and then finding out it's only 5%. So we'll sort out. So listen, 2,000 subscribers, guys. Listen, can I just say this now? Everybody who's watching out there, go and ask 10 of your friends, just press the subscribe button on Peep, right? 10 of your friends and ask them to tell 10 of their friends, okay? So just go out, ask them just to press that subscribe button. You don't even have to press the notifications button. Get on the subscriptions. Let's get to 2,000. If you want to,
Let's get the 2,000 tonight.
let's get the 2,000 tonight. In fact, I'm going to take the microphone out of here. It's the first time I've ever done it. We're going to get serious tonight. We want 2,000 subscribers. Go tell your friends. Tell them to tell their friends. And the first person to genuinely confirm that they've gained us an extra 10 subscribers by telling their friends will win an official Peep Magazine cup and a Peep Magazine t-shirt, which we can show to you in the corner. If you want that Peep Magazine bag, we're going to be looking at a few more than 10 subscribers. But please, go out and tell your friends. You're getting the #1 combat news here. You know, you're getting Peep Syntax. We're throwing everything at you. So help us to help you. So there you go. Any support that you have, there are any businesses out there who'd like to support our channel or show or future shows, there's plenty of opportunities for brands to have promotion to fighters' friends and families, and those are interested in combat, science, sport, art, social, all these kind of topics we cover at Peep Magazine. You've got 2 young, good-looking guys here going out on the road and bringing everything to you. So, remember Twitter, it's at Peep Magazine, YouTube, peepmagazine.co.uk, Instagram, Peep Limited, and you can email us, contact@peepmagazine.co.uk. We're going to have a competition tonight, and the competition is you can win 2 free tickets for the next Dual Fights event on the 14th of April. Answers must be in real time by the end of the show, although if we do cut off tonight, we may accept a 24-hour window on that. The question is, can you name the leader of the Warriors gang from the classic film, the iconic film, The Warriors, which we're just going to show you there, which I'm going to show you actually with a camera because it's not moving. Cliff's very, very working hard to keep us on air tonight because obviously we're struggling with some Wi-Fi issues. Hang on, I'll just throw that back up again. We're going to talk to you a little bit about the Warriors as well tonight, which is going to be an interesting little topic, and hopefully talk to you a little bit about graphic novels as well. As I say, we're running a little bit behind just because we've been cut off a couple of times, so that's really it. So
this is live though. This is what happens.
This is what happens in live, in live time. So I'm going to dot back and forth, okay, tonight. So we're going to break up the format a little bit just so we can get some things in. So Floyd Mayweather apparently is not in negotiations with Conor McGregor to fight in the octagon. I didn't really think that would happen. I don't want to go too much into it, but there's too much to favour Conor McGregor in an MMA fight very clearly against Floyd Mayweather. Has had, to my knowledge, no wrestling experience other than when he's probably a 4 or 5-year-old kid wrestling, with his brothers or his dad, and no jiu-jitsu experience and no striking other than boxing experience. Even as one of the best boxers of all time, can he compete at that level? Now, an MMA at that level, which is world-class level against Conor McGregor. Here we go. I think Amir's back, so we're going to take this call. I'm just going to... Oh, I better take that. Amir. Yep. Hello, sir. How you doing? Good to speak to you. Thanks for your patience.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. We've been cut off a couple of times. So we're talking about the Storm Gym, and you said that lineage goes back nearly 20 years.
It started 1999, 1st of November.
Right.
Gym.
Yep.
The guy is, I think it was Trinity Kickboxing, he still runs it. And he gave me a small section. They didn't like too many people. And
Yep.
I think after about 3 sessions, I had too many students, so I started my own classes 3 times a week in the Tyne Recreation Center.
Right.
I kind of taught about, I think, 17 different places
Yep.
in and around Luton.
Yeah.
Until we are now in a new location on New Bedford Road, literally for, I think it's about 6 odd years now, and before that I was about 5 years at another location, so yeah.
Fantastic. Brilliant. And your super fight series, so it looks like you're coming to Newcastle with that. Could you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yes, well, basically, first of all, obviously, thank you very much for inviting me to your lovely show.
Very welcome.
It's something I follow a long time because there's not that many really online magazines to cover, well, K1 in particular.
Yeah.
There's quite a few with Thai boxing and MMA, of course, a lot.
Yes, of course, for the MMA.
More. Yeah, well, as part of our growth, but we're not really going as such as Newcastle. It's more we're going with good people, and I'd like to now really, well, big up David Wield, obviously who's our business partner up there, and he's doing an amazing job. There's quite a few good promoters up there, and I don't know, me and Dave always clicked from a long time. Helpful, a genuinely good person, something I like to kind of really like consider myself like that, and just like it's easy to work with.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Wolfpack, be ready, July 28th. Loads of new stuff, basically, obviously also with the whole Sky production and everything, and a lot of good fights, and it's something we're looking forward. It's part of the SFS on tour. We will obviously be in different places as well around the UK, and very soon, end of September, the first international date will be announced. The first show, and November the second one. And so on and so on, yeah. So
fantastic. That's great. I mean, obviously, we'll be supporting you in that as well. We'll be each show that you have a show coming up. We'll be promoting and talking about it on our show, and obviously doing our best. Perhaps even coming in doing a bit of coverage as well, some behind the scenes stuff as well, which would be nice on the people. Yeah, which would be great. We can come in and film, talk to the fighters.
Look, it's all about collaboration and working together. If we all, it's like 3 branches. You put 50 together. Good luck breaking them or even cutting them. So
very much.
I'm open for everything. I think by now you saw also it's not just David's show like the Duel. We also collaborate with all different federations, different promotions, and they all feed into SFS, which I can't stress this enough. Yes, we sanctioned with one body with the new one now with WKO, but to be announced anyway. We have all these different federations as well as promotions feeding into, because we see SFS as a true, made in Britain and a British product. And a British show for British fighters. So
fantastic.
Us first, and then, we will take on everyone. And I think UK as a whole is such a hotbed of talent. And I don't know, it just annoys me, that smaller countries than United Kingdom have super shows, and it's like I thought, I was going to do something about it, and here we go.
Fantastic. I mean, and also what we'll have to do is when you come up this end, we'll get you on the show if you don't mind. You can come and sit next to me on one of the exploding chairs, and we'll have a good chat with you.
My business partners, Nash, and
we'll bring them on.
Nash Keshwala, and possibly Paul and another Paul. So we should all be up there a little bit earlier, everyone in their own time as necessary. I'll probably come way earlier. And so we'll have plenty of time. It'd be nice to catch up and talk, and because we have big plans for Newcastle and around there, and so basically
Newcastle
Dome.
Dome.
I can say Newcastle and David will be the main part for up there. So
fantastic. Could you just tell us? Sorry, mate. Could you tell us a little bit about the headline fight on the show, please?
David and I will be getting loads of names in. There will be a 8-man tournament at 77 kilos.
Right.
And that one alone is really, we already have quite a few big names in. There will be some world titles too. And to be honest, it's probably a little bit too early, but you'll see some of the announcements and stuff, because I have to get this show out of the way, and then all the fighters have to sign the contracts and stuff, and so before we can possibly, let's say, make all the posters, put all the posters up, announce them, and then publish them.
Absolutely.
You know what? There'll be loads of good fights. So basically, Ireland, Scotland, the whole of England as well. Everything. There'll be foreign fighters. There will be some good fights. Obviously, as we are coming up north, we're going to bring our stable of fighters that are kind of regularly fighting from the south up north, and there'll be some brilliant matchups that maybe we would not see otherwise. On top of my head, I got few in my head that I like to see, so I'm going to arrange this. and then obviously David has few, and then so we'll see.
Brilliant. I mean,
I'm sure David can tell you a bit more about some of the.
Of course.
Up north.
Of course.
But we're waiting for few to confirm, but there will be. Definitely several.
Brilliant.
Several.
We look forward to it, Amir. Just before we leave this call, have you got anything you'd like to add? Anything you'd like to say? Any promotion?
Well, all I can say really, everyone should just support. We don't have to like each other to work together. This is about the sport, the fighters, and the fans. And if we are to grow as a sport, and everyone needs to do their bit. Rather than complain and moan about it, go support the local show, support everyone, don't knock no one down. You know, a lot of fighters spend a lot of time training and put their heart and soul in it. Win or lose, it's all good. And I think more work together and more cross-promotion and sharing on the social media and stuff. I find it sometimes ridiculous. Let's say I'm fighting in Newcastle, for example, and I didn't even put my poster up. So how will anyone know? And nothing really. We have 5 shows planned so far this year in the UK and several abroad. So loads coming.
Brilliant.
And I hope that next year we can be quite a few times up there with bigger and better. And we're launching a big Super Fight Series World Grand Prix. So
fantastic.
I'm even thinking that possibly one of the 8 months will be up north in Newcastle and one down south. So
brilliant, Amir.
Good luck to everyone.
Listen, thank you very much. Thanks for taking your time to call us. Listen, thank you very much. And we just ask you, what we're looking to do tonight is get ourselves to 2,000 subscribers. So could you please ask 10 of your friends to press the subscribe button tonight and help us to reach our 2,000 subscriber goal. And I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, and I look forward to meeting you in person and see you in this studio.
Fantastic. Yes, I'll see you soon. Thank you very much.
Take care, sir. Have a good week. Have a good weekend. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Bye bye.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye. Right, fantastic. Lovely to have Amir there. We got him on the show. So we got him on the show, and we're going to continue with the rest of the show whilst we still have a stream. So just briefly then, Floyd Mayweather, so we said he's not in negotiations with Conor McGregor to fight in the octagon, so that looks like a fight that it won't happen. Dana White has also confirmed that he will strip Conor McGregor of the lightweight championship belt, so Tony Ferguson and Khabib Nurmagomedov. Cliff kind of went, I don't know. But that's how I'm pronouncing it. We'll fight for the belts. So that should be an interesting fight, you know. Is it a 50-50 fight? I mean, Khabib's known for his relentlessness and his conditioning and just his, you know, his. I saw him when he beat, who was his last fight, and he was just on top of him and he just doesn't stop, keeps coming. Tony Ferguson, I believe, is more technical based, so it should be an interesting fight, and I think that one will split the fans. A message to Dana White, stay on the UFC, was quite interesting to me. Apparently Roy Jones Jr. wants to fight Anderson Silva, just to confirm it would be a boxing match. It's Anderson's dream to fight his favourite fighter, Roy Jones Jr. We've heard about this fight for a long time. Nice to know your thoughts on this. My personal thoughts on this. Well, actually, I'm going to ask Cliff, what's your... So let's assume it's a 12... It could be anything. Let's assume it's a 12 3-minute round boxing match in a ring. Everything to the Las Vegas Commission, Nevada Commission's regulatory board. Who do you think wins that?
What was the question now?
Yeah, no worries. Roy Jones versus Anderson Silva in a professional boxing match.
It's got to be Roy Jones.
I think Roy Jones, definitely. I think.
It's the same old thing with Conor McGregor and Floyd in the boxing ring.
Yeah,
it's going to be the same thing.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, the difference here though is, you know, I would say that Floyd Mayweather, perhaps not in his prime, but certainly was closer to his prime than Roy Jones is, with no disrespect. And I would also argue that Conor McGregor was close to his and Anderson Silva. So they're both, you know, past the primes. But I think even so, I think Roy Jones Jr. in a boxing match has got more to give than what Anderson Silva can give to him. But it'd be an interesting one. So we're going to move now on to PEEP Access. As I say, we've had to put our foot down a little bit, but not too fast. We're still in control of the wheel. So we're going to talk about two things. We'll talk a little bit on graphic novels. I'm not going to get too deep into it because I could be here for a while, but I want to touch on this. And we're also going to talk about The Warriors. So The Warriors, which we got cut off last time, it's a film, an iconic film about a turf battle on New York City street gangs that rages from Coney Island to the Bronx. The Warriors are mistakenly fingered out for the killing of a gang leader. Soon they have every gang in the city out to to get revenge, and they must make their way across the city to their own turf. So the story is kind of like it's a road trip story almost, that you've got to get from one part to another, and all the trials and tribulations that go on along the way. It's not a film I've actually seen before. Yeah, here it is on VHS. Do you remember this, kids? VHS? The under 20s won't have a clue what that is. He actually put it in the machine and it went boot like this, and he press play. And when you wanted to find a scene, you do what's called fast forward. So you have to wait for it to kind of skim around and get onto the next one. I mean, now it's not even DVDs, it's streaming, isn't it? But this is back in the day, old technology. Some interesting facts. So it really is an iconic film. Mixes, I mean, how would you pitch it? What genre is it? It's a hard one. Is it a road movie, a coming of age story? Is it what would you say? A fight movie. What would you not a martial arts? What do you call them?
It's kind of all things to all men.
Well, it is all things to all. What do you call martial combat flicks or like action? Yeah, an action flick. So it's and there's a lot of actually video. Something we've never covered actually in the show, which we'll do in a time, is video games, because there's a lot of video games like Vigilante that's based on this. There's one. Remember Vigilante Double Dragon? Yeah. All based on the Warriors, I would say. I mean, Warriors came out in what was it? 70s? I'm saying, is it 70s? 79, 77, 79. So a lot of video games were based on that. Some interesting facts: the film trucks were protected by a real gang. Cult classic called the Mongrels, and they were getting paid $500 a day. I think the whole gang. I don't know whether it's per member. I wouldn't have thought back in this, because that's probably worth what? If you leveled that, would that be like 1,500 quid now, or $2.5 nowadays?
So we're getting $500 per day of looking after the.
But not per person.
No, not per person.
So I wonder how they split that. President Ronald Reagan, remember him? Nancy. Called the actor Michael Beck to say he enjoyed the Warriors film. He actually called him personally to say that he enjoyed the film. President Ronald Reagan. Actor David Patrick Kelly, Luther, improvised a famous line, "Warriors come out to play," based on his taunts from his childhood friend. Boom. And the homicides were the real gang of Coney Island and didn't agree to fictional gangs on their turf. So, fair enough. Are you ready? What was my thing to open with? Can you dig it? Sorry. Can you dig it? Sorry. So the question. No, it's the question, guys. Mm-hmm. Can you dig it? That was me on the 6. You want to see me on a 10? Do you want to see a 10? I'll not give you a 10. I'll save that. So the question was, what was the question? Because you told me the answer. I don't want to say what the answer. What was the question? Where is it? I'm looking for the question. To win 2 tickets to the Duel 14th. First prize. Should we do that old joke? First prize is a meal for two with. Second prize is 2 meals for 2. Yeah. Right. Where's the question? Can you tell me the question verbally, and I'll just. The question is.
Can anyone name the gang leader of the Warriors?
Can anybody name the gang leader of the Warriors? So I'll say that again. To win 2 tickets to Duel and a PEEP official cup T-shirt. No, maybe. Up to 30%. Can I have up to 30% of a cup?
Yeah.
We can do that. What was it?
Have that little handle that comes with the cup.
Exactly. So you have the packaging. So what was the name of the leader of the Warriors? Okay. Now to kind of come next section, then just coming towards the end, I want to talk a little bit about graphic novels. So we do talk about books on the show quite a lot, quite frequently. On this is PEEP Access, by the way. Well, I perhaps said PEEP Access before the second cut, but just to officialize, this is PEEP Access with the film and the book. So instead of books, we're talking graphic novels, or graphic novella, as we like to call them in the trade. So graphic novels, you could call them comic books. I think comic books are derided as just, for kids, but they're absolutely not. I mean, some of the stories in comic books have got such deep kind of characterization, story, artwork, visage, that it knocks out a lot of films out there couldn't even come close, and some very well written and produced and written film and cinema couldn't come close to some of the topics and the stories and the character arcs that graphic novels and comic books touch on. To give you an example, the Punisher is one of my favorite kind of characters, a Marvel character. There's a Punisher Max series which is written by, is it Garth Ennis, I believe, that does a Punisher Max. And there's one particular book called The Slavers, and it's about slave trade, and the things that you see in that, a film wouldn't even dare touch or come near. They wouldn't even go near it. So it's certainly not for kids, So we're going to talk a little bit about that. 2000 AD is a famous weekly British science fiction oriented comic magazine. As a comic anthology, here's a question for you. Where did the word comic come from? Comic, for a comic book. That's interesting.
Does anyone know?
Does anybody know? As a comics anthology, it serializes stories in each issue and was first published by IPC magazines in 1977. The first issue dated the 26th of February 1977. Some of the characters, Judge Dredd, who was one of my personal favorites. I had the whole, what was it? I had the, what was it called? Not Block Wars. When they went to war with the Sovs. It was the nuclear war. What was it called? Apocalypse War. Got all those originals, the whole lot. Judge Dredd, Judge Death. The Judge Death series was good. Did you ever read
Did you ever read Young Death?
No, I never. No, I did. It was like a comedy almost. It was like comedic. Yeah.
His dad was a dentist.
That's right. Yeah, it was brilliant. Well, did you ever read any of the Judge Dredd versus Batman? I've got the collection of those.
I mean, I don't read them now, but
I'll give them fantastic. Well, actually, I still dip in a little bit. ABC Warriors, Strontium Dog, Rogue Trooper, and Brigand Doom. So
Brigand Doom. There's not many people know about that one.
I think I've heard it, but I don't think I've ever read it. I mean, just to show you one of the classics, Slaying the Horned God by Mark Bisley. I mean, if you want to check out some of the art, check out that bad boy for some artwork. So if you're into Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings, in fact, let's say Game of Thrones, because you might not know what Lord of the Rings is, go and buy yourself a copy of Slaying the Horned God. Yeah, because that'll out Games of Thrones pretty much any episode you could point at. Look at that.
That guy was probably one of the best artists around, maybe mid-90s.
Yeah. Is there a name for that art style? Because I'm going to show you the art style that was actually done on the iPad, so to speak. I mean, graphic artists, whereas is this water painted almost?
No, that's airbrush.
Airbrushing, that's it. Yeah, airbrushing art. So look at some of that.
That's like original.
Like
airbrushed.
Yeah. So if you're into dragons and swords and maidens, etc., and sex and I don't think there's any drugs. I think there's drugs in actually in rock and roll.
And there's the warp spasms.
Yeah, the warp spasm. That's right. Yeah, and he has to wear the harness to stop him getting the. Yeah. That's that right. So you want to get yourself this Slaying the Horned God, a classic collector's edition. Now, if you can answer this simple question. Who is Slane's sidekick? You can win this actual copy. I'm just kidding. A couple of other graphic novels. We're going to fly through these and then do a bit of a wind down, guys.
I mean, there's Heavy Metal Dread there as well. That's a classic.
Heavy Metal Dread, which is you got it on the I mean, Judge Dredd is one of the best characters for me. Is that? Don't tell me his name on the front. That is Chopper, isn't it? On the surfboard.
Yes.
Yeah. So. Some great bit of art literature. I'm just going to quickly look at 3 books that I brought in. The first one, I'm just going to fly through these. The first one's The Watchmen, written by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. A very influential comic book that you see at the top, one of Tyne magazine's top 100 novels. Do you know what I'm saying? That's like books. That's everything. And it's basically a story about actually non-powered superheroes other than Dr. Manhattan, who come together. I think they formed a group in the 50s or 60s, and like their sons or daughters or some of the same characters come back and form another group because all these superheroes are being killed and murdered. And Rorschach is like a detective, and he's trying to find out why these superheroes are being killed. And there's a character called Dr. Manhattan who actually has powers, one of the most powerful heroes who can change reality. So it's a really interesting book, and as I say, it was kind of a game changer at the time. It had a very controversial book as well. It was made into a film, which was directed by the much maligned, what's his name, who directed Superman of Steel? Oh my God, it's escaped me. It'll come to me. He directed Batman vs. Superman, Man of Steel. He was co-credited for directing Justice League. He also directed 300. And he also... Thank you, Zack Snyder, the much maligned Zack Snyder. I'm not a fan in the slightest of the new Superman, who isn't, in my opinion, well, you can just have a look at it. It's not the Superman that we know and love, and they've actually retconned Superman over nearly 10 years of getting it wrong. However, Zack Snyder is a very fantastic director. I did love 300, and the remake of Dawn of the Dead is one of the best zombie films I've ever seen.
Have you seen the original?
I've seen the original. Yeah, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead. Good films. But have you seen...
Is that the...
Go.
The mall.
Yeah, that's right, in the mall.
Yeah.
The Dawn of the Dead remake with Ving James is amazing. So he directed Watchmen, and actually I thought it was fantastic. They changed, no spoilers, but they changed one of the main ending parts for the reasons behind a certain kind of like apocalyptic event happening, which made a lot of sense for me why they did change it, because the comic book version was a little bit, I didn't really kind of, it was a bit of a, not a letdown, but just a little bit like, what, really? For me. But I thought it was fantastic. It was almost a direct kind of port from the book to the film, and I think the closest and most accurate, for want of a better word, conversion from a book to screen I'd ever seen. The second one, go for it. Yeah, go. Well, let me. Can I do one more? Then we'll do the. Well, I'll finish these. I'm just going to race through. Then we'll do questions. So the second one is a Marvel graphic novel, The Invincible Iron Man, and I thought this was quite potent because it's Iron Man Extremis, written by Warren Ellis and drawn by Adi Granoff, which is digital art. So you use digital art. Now check this out, Cliff. Look at this. The art. That's digital. Now the reason I'm pointing to this one, this was actually the inspiration, well, for Iron Man, the storyline of Iron Man 3, but in actual fact, it heavily influenced the armor design on the very first Iron Man. You know, Marvel Studios' first kind of official step into Marvel Studios, not Marvel Comics, into the movie world, and it's actually that armor that they based Tony Stark on. They actually had, I believe, Adi come in and do some work with the what's it be called, the puppeteering and the armor and it's all the weapon, what it be called in movie studios, the guys who actually do all the props, like the prop department. So that was an inspiration of that. And I mean, we talked about the Marvel Studios. I mean, it's worth what? How many billions is it? 12, 13 billion it's worth, or its films have made, and we're on what we're on now. Nearly 20 movies have just announced the next 7 slot up to 20. Is it up to 2022 or something? Perhaps even further in the future. And actually inspired it. I mean, Marvel Studios is kicking butt. I mean, the latest release was Black Panther, which is quite controversial. I don't want to go too much into it. I've watched the film and really enjoyed it. And I'm going to say a little bit, because it kind of annoys me how it becomes now, people have got a voice to say, for me personally, the reason I like Black Panther is because he's cool as F. It had nothing to do with his ethnicity or his skin color. I didn't even notice that. And yet people are bringing that to the force. Apparently people are saying, I won't go and watch it because I don't want to ruin the film with my whiteness. I mean, why even write something like that? Are we not grown-ups nowadays? We just go and watch a film and enjoy it for being a damn good film. Chadwick Boseman's fantastic in it. Michael B. Jordan was amazing as well. Lupita, I mean, the cast was great. A little bit long, but I thought it was a fantastic film. So let's just keep the whole, let's get to 2018 and just be all adults and not there's no need to dip into all that kind of stuff. Just a damn good film. 2,000 subscribers. The last one is Batman Arkham Asylum. Now, artwork. Zoom in on that. Boom! Look at that. I'm not going to swear. So Arkham Asylum is basically about Arkham Asylum. Arkham Asylum is an asylum in Arkham, believe it or not, in Gotham, that they basically lock up all the kind of the super criminals and the insane. I'm sure you're aware of the video game Arkham Asylum, Arkham Origins, Arkham City, Arkham Knight. And it's a story written by one of the greatest writers in comics, Grant Morrison from Glasgow, and drawn by Dave McKean. A very kind of like psychological horror thriller. Think Seven mixed with just Hellraiser mixed with Arkham Asylum. And basically the kidnap the staff and Joker wants Batman to go in and that's kind of the clause for releasing the hostages. And it's just a real deep psychological horror, and it's not something I'd read more than once. I think I've read it once. It's given to my good friend Jamie Patterson for my 28th birthday, 30th birthday. Look, there's a little bit of Finding Nemo in there. So yeah, definitely worth a read once. Now, interesting enough, listen to this. Arkham Asylum is the most successful graphic novel of all time. Did you know that? I think that means the greatest selling graphic novel. So that's the show. We've got a question, so we'll finish on a few questions. We've tightened up the show a little bit. Obviously, we've lost about 20-25 minutes, but let's get some questions going on before we.
Yeah, we've got a question from.
Let's do it.
David Wheel, the Warrior.
Aha, David.
Tony Scott was going to do a modern remake, but died.
Yeah, he committed suicide, didn't he? Unfortunately, through depression, I think.
Then Mark.
Well, tragically, not unfortunately.
Then Mark Neville said he was going to take over. There's supposed to be a TV series in the pipeline.
See, that would be interesting. Do you know what? Say again? The question was, what was the name of the leader of the Warriors? That was a question, wasn't it? No? Sorry. Okay, what was the name of the leader of the Warriors?
Tony Scott was going to do a remake, but he died. Then Mark Neville said he was going to take over.
Right.
And there was supposed to be a TV series also.
Oh, you want me to say that? Oh, sorry, I thought you wanted me to say the question. Right, I apologise. Tell me again, because I forgot. It's like, I feel like the Lego movie character. What's he called? You know, when he says, yeah, I got all that, and if in case I didn't get it, tell me it all again. Go. So apparently Tony Scott was going to do a remake of The Warriors, but he tragically died, ended his life. But Mark Neville was going to take over, but it never happened. So.
There's supposed to be a TV series in the pipeline.
And there's meant to be a TV series in the pipeline. So,
David.
Thanks, David. That's interesting, David. I'd like to know your thoughts on this. Do you know what I think would work better than a movie? Would be a Netflix series of the Warriors, maybe over like 9 episodes or something, and really kind of build it up and give you a bit more, not just context, but story and.
Bring The Sopranos back.
I never watched The Sopranos. Yeah, maybe I should have watched that.
I know James Gandolfini.
He did, yeah. Bless his soul.
They should bring Chrissy back as.
Right.
I don't know, they should do something.
Yeah.
Any questions out there? I mean,
there's some great film out. You know, some great films. There's some great, Netflix, Amazon Prime has really come into it. So I've been watching this great documentary on Pepsi versus Cola, history of that. Really interesting. Watched this Ricky Hatton, The Return. You know, about his last fight. That was quite interesting. And I'm watching. Is it not Battle of the Planet of the Apes? The latest one. Is it War of the Planet of the Apes? Not as good as I thought it was going to be, but. I mean, if you're into film, Netflix, but definitely check out Amazon Prime, because what you can do there is you can basically go on and hire, rent or buy, recently, newly released films, which is a great way to do it if you're not into doing Sky. I mean, I don't pay for Sky. I think it's extortionate, even though it is still quite a profitable company. So it's all about the Netflix and the Amazon Prime for me, we're just going to talk about a few more little things because we're rolling up to 8 o'clock now, but I think we've got quite a lot in. So main thing for tonight is, and this is what I'm going to do, Cliff, for this bit. 2,000 subscribers. That's what we're looking at tonight. So all the viewers tonight, if you go out and tell 10 of your friends, so you don't have to tell them tonight, but tell 10 of your friends to tell 10 of their friends to tell 10 of their friends. Perhaps go onto your social media, put a little post on there about Peep Magazine, put a link in for us as well. That would be fantastic. We're really going to push this. If you're interested in joining the team, so to speak, if you're a videographer, sound technician, an artist, if you're a host and you want to take my position, I'm sure Cliff would give you up to 30% of my airtime. I'm just kidding. And expect to see a lot. We've got a lot coming up with these shows. We've both been very busy, but we are going to do a lot more outdoor, especially over the summer. Want to get out on some of the local beaches around the northeast, do a little bit of a history there and a little bit of talk about those. Get you guys out off your couches and out into the open, fresh air. So that'll be an interesting piece. Obviously, we're going to do our little piece on Barter Books, Elite Gym. We're going to get over there, do a little bit of filming as well. We're going to visit some of the local gyms. Get a little bit of time in there. Interview some people that work there, that run them, why they got into it. We're going to hit the Lang Museum shortly as well, and the Tyne Cinema, a little bit of film in there for you guys, a little bit of culture as well. We're going to have a look there. There's a lot going on in the northeast, and we're proud to be based in the centre of Newcastle, bringing to you content on, predominantly combat magazine based, but also with Peep Access, books, film, syntax, yeah, which is a bit more culture for you, so a little bit on the sciences and art, media. Getting more out there for you, expanding, and hopefully one day we'll even if we don't get Ridley Scott into the studio, perhaps he could pre-record some content for us and just to give us his support. I just had a brainwave actually, Cliff. Why the hell don't we ask Ridley to tell all of his friends to tell all his friends?
Yeah, Ridley, come on.
Let's get up to 2,000 subscribers. Well, I think we've pretty much hit it. We've talked books, we've talked film.
We do apologise for the stream.
We apologise for the stream. That was out of our hands, unfortunately. But like I say with Peep, just stay with us because we're bringing a lot of new things to you. If you have any suggestions or ideas, anything you'd like to see on Peep, get in touch. But certainly we're going to be doing Peep Outdoors, which is where we go outside the studio. That's not the official name because I know Cliff will come up with a better title. But we're getting out the studio. We're going to go interview, go see some stuff. And introduce you to different parts of the Northeast that you haven't seen yet. So,
we've also got some exciting things.
And some exciting things in the pipeline. Some exciting products to review. We talked about product review on the first show, and we actually have some products sent in by some influencers. So we're very excited about that. We're going to bring the products in, talk a little bit about them. Obviously, give a shout out to the company that sent them in. We're not saying them just yet. We're going to get out and wear and tear them on the street. And come back and report to you, and perhaps we could even arrange some kind of percentage off by mentioning Peep. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you very much for joining us on our Peep Live number Lucky 7. Thank you for Amir for phoning in. I hope you've enjoyed it. You can go pick up. Thank you, Amir. Get into Amazon, go and order yourself a copy of The Warriors on VHS or DVD. Perhaps have a think about The Watchmen. I'd still recommend Extremis, perhaps Arkham Asylum. Look at The Horn God as well. Get yourself to the library even. You don't have to pay for these things. Just get what's called the ISBN number. Go take it to the library, and you know what? They'll buy it in for you. It's free. Get to the library and read. Okay. Thank you for joining us. Have a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you on the next show. This is Peep Live, signing out.
Can you dig it?
Can you dig it? We're out.
Well, that was a weird one, Jim.
Well, that's a bit of fun.